I'm Jeff.
And I'm Joe.
And this is Truth Be Told. Welcome to Truth Be Told. This is our 5th episode, which is a milestone for us right now.
Yeah.
And we're having a great time with this. How about, right?
Wonderful
Is that right?
time. I get to see my buddy more often, and yeah, so this is great for me.
We got a topic today that's very personal to both of us, and it has affected both of our lives and continues this day to affect us. But before we get into that, I just want everyone to know something, that I'm a person that's going to be speaking about this topic that knows exactly what he's talking about, because I've been where we're going to talk about. This man as well. So it's not two people just giving observations, although there will be, and it's not just two people shooting out advice without anything to back it up so that there's some type of credence to it, right?
Yeah, we lived it and we lived through it.
And so, yeah. And so now, I just want you to know that we're not ignorant to the subject. We have a lot of experience, and we hope that it's going to help people in this discussion.
Yeah. It's a tough one. It affects so many people. It affected and affects so many people to this very day that, it's a touchy subject to where, I don't know how sensitive this is going to be to some of our viewers and how close to home it's going to hit. But again, we welcome any interaction. We welcome the comments. We welcome anything you want to say. And if we do something, I kind of see this having a recap somewhere along the line in the future. It's that big of a topic to where when you guys comment in, we'll go over those comments and we'll navigate our way through this, because it really is a tough one.
Absolutely. Well, today's show is about addiction. Now, there are a lot of things to be addicted to, but tonight's show is going to be mainly focusing on alcohol and drugs. I drank for 25 years. Literally. And in that time, I had some good times, and I had bad times. But the bad times happened only when I was drinking. Only. And when I quit drinking, I never had those bad times anymore. So there's something to that formula. You know what I'm saying? I've been sober now going on 17 years. And I'll never forget the day that I set it down. There's a big story leading up to that, and I think maybe, I don't know if we should go into that right now. What do you think?
What story?
Well, you all know that I'm a Christian, so even back when I was walking around saying that I was a Christian and just, trying to avoid the conversation with Christians that actually were Christians at the time, I found myself knowing exactly that I was wrong with all the drinking I was doing, because it led to basically a financial ruin almost. More importantly than that, I almost lost the love of my life. And I wouldn't be here today with her in her condition if I was still drinking, because I probably would have left.
Yeah. Yeah, she would have been fighting that alone yeah.
And so, one day this guy comes to my work and he says, hey, how you doing? And we start talking. He starts talking to me about Jesus, right? And it was about, I don't know, maybe 6 months maybe. And then it came down to the point when on February 14th, man, on Valentine's Day, Angie and I just had this blow up. And at that time, he was talking to me about going to church and stuff like that. And after that all happened,
Where'd this guy come from?
he actually was one of the deacons in the church that I ended up going to and getting saved at. And his name was Keith Tallman. Thank you, brother, for listening to the Spirit.
Yeah, thank you. I got my...
And so after that happened, I went to work, and I told him, man, I'm going to go to church with you on Wednesday. And he told me, I know, because the Lord told me that you were going to go with me. And so when I went in there, I walked in there, and I was trying to avoid everybody. I thought, oh, no, I got myself into something, right? And the next thing I know, man, I walked up there, and I met my pastor, and he says, the devil's going to tell you that what you're doing is wrong, and you're going to get bombarded.
Wow.
You know? And he's going to tell you that, getting saved is not worth it. When I left that church, though, I was filled with the Spirit of God, and I left there a different man. And I came home, and I started praying, and my wife was like, oh, you're holy rolling, huh? You're holy rolling again. You're holy rolling again, huh? And she was pissed off because I was treating her like crap. I was treating her like crap, dude. She, it was to the point where I was sleeping on the couch and she was sleeping in the room, and we lived in the same place, but we weren't sleeping in the same room together. And, but God saved me. This is what happened to me. And I was kneeling down and I was praying by myself. And one day I looked over and she was praying next to me, man.
Wow.
She was kneeling right next to me. And that's how he put us back together.
That's beautiful.
And then we both started on sobriety, and my wife's been there with me now 16 years. I mean,
That's
she's
awesome.
And so what I'm trying to say with this is that there's another way, and my story ends up like this, and so can yours. But you got to be willing to quit and change your life.
Yeah.
And it took Jesus Christ to save my life and change it.
Yeah, my experience isn't the same as yours. I didn't have that addiction in my life, but it was all around my life, and it affected me in so many ways. And I hope this is okay, but our brother here, Jeff's blood brother, I contribute alcohol to his not being here today.
I agree with that.
I can only imagine what our lives would be like right now if Liam was here. Musically, family-wise, my son. Drunk driver took my son. Now, that doesn't hit home. I don't know what does, but it affected me through my marriage. It was a big factor of why my marriage of 16 years didn't make it. And while I don't have the same understanding and experience of what it does to a person once that person becomes addicted, I can tell you what it does to the people around you. And a couple relationships that I've attempted in these last year or so were all shot down simply because of alcohol. I won't do it. I won't tolerate it, and I won't get anywhere near it. And I'll shut it down right before it even happens if I sense that, it's going to be a problem for me in my life now.
Yeah.
So moving forward, I don't know how not to identify and pick certain people out to kind of explain the experience. But as common as it is, I think with what we just said, there's enough people that can relate to this and already start really gripping what this show is about.
And we'll get a little deeper, I suppose you could say, right after this. Be right back.
Hi guys, we're Temperamental. We're a rock band new to Indiegogo, and we really need your help.
Our band has a lot of big things happening for us right now.
We're recording an album, and we've been given lots of great opportunities that are super exciting, but everything costs money.
So we thought we'd ask you guys for some help.
When you donate, there are tons of perks and prizes, so make sure to check those out.
Any amount helps.
Thank you.
And welcome back. So, what are some of the things that I think...
How has it affected your life, our life?
Right, and I think, too, I want to cover, if we can here, what maybe we can tell those that are addicted.
Yeah.
How it affects us as their family.
You know, for our viewers, right now would be a great time to kind of maybe chime in, you know. You could speak as if you're speaking about a friend. You don't have to. I mean, if you want to come and say something about it being your personal experience, great, whatever, but that's not what we're looking for. We just want to know how to try and get in front of it now, you know, for people who need help.
I think one of the things that people don't recognize that are addicted or they're falling into something like this is that every person that you are in contact with, that you have fellowship or relationship with, it affects them. Everything that you do. Everything you do affects them. Think about that. Everything you do affects the person you love. Affects the kids that you say that you love. Affects the mom and dad that you say that you love. And now that you know that, what decisions will you make now? Will you choose to get help? Will you choose to quit? Can you quit? Will you choose to walk away from that life that looks so exciting to you for the people that love you? It's a choice I had to make. And you know what? I'm glad I made it, because Angie would be dead if it wasn't for that decision that I made for us, for me to quit. But I didn't do it on my own, believe me. And I've told you guys this on live before. Jesus Christ, man, he took the thirst from my veins. Every program, did you know this? That every program that is faith-based has a higher percentage of success than any other program.
I didn't know, but it makes sense.
Because there's something in purpose. And do you have purpose? Is there purpose in your life? Because if you got purpose, you don't got time for that stuff. And I'm telling you guys, there's a better way, because I used to be there, right where you are. You're not looking at somebody that doesn't know what he's talking about, has never been in your position.
Well, let me ask you something. Back up. How did you know? Did you know all along? Was it a certain time that came where you did know? When did you know? Because I'm going to go to personal experience here, and I'm trying to handle this delicately, but I remember I was in marriage counseling. And I'm suspecting that something isn't right, but I don't know for sure. So I asked the counselor, I said, hey, I suspect, and I just threw it out there, I suspect this is an issue in my marriage. And he says, well, let me ask you a question. Do you believe she's an alcoholic, or do you believe she has an alcohol problem? I said, yes.
That's a great answer.
If it's a problem for me, guess what? I'm going to call it alcohol. And we went through back and forth about how one was different than the other. And I said, honestly, I don't care about all that. All I care about is what happens with in our home life. And it ain't right, and it's alcohol based.
Right. Well, that's a good answer because, number one, there's no difference.
Yeah. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't
Thank
need
you.
to go to be a psychologist to know that. I don't have to go to school for 7 years. Okay? Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, I knew all along that it was wrong what I was doing. I knew all along. But I didn't want to quit. And when you don't want to quit, you won't. You know?
Yeah.
You could talk about it all you want to, but if you don't want to quit, you will not quit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm telling you that the faith-based programs work, because there's another person that's involved, and that's Christ. And when your heart opens up to be able to talk to Jesus and say, hey, I need your help, you begin to get this overwhelming sense of, I don't know, I want to call it like security, or you feel like this presence where you just know that everything's going to be okay. And it materializes, it seems like, as if out of nowhere. But it isn't from anywhere. It's from God above. And I you know, will confess that and preach that, because that's what happened to me. And I suspect, we always say this in work, if they can do it, so can you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do it, so can you. If that department can produce that much, so can this department. You both have the same amount of employees.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reasoning that I use.
Yeah.
But I knew all along. And I didn't want to quit. I thought I was going to be missing out on something. I thought I was going to miss out on this and that and this party life and all of this and that. But you know what happened? When I set it all down, I realized it wasn't as important as I thought it was. What was more important is that my wife was still by my side. And at that time we had Jeffrey. So, you know, my son, I still had my son, I still had my wife. Because every time that we had split up, because we split up a couple of times, she left and you know, ended up coming right back quickly because, you know, I don't know why. I was glad she did, but when she left, man, I was empty, man. And that emptiness, and that's why I'm saying there's a purpose. There's a purpose, right?
Yeah.
For everyone, there's a purpose. For everyone that has a purpose, they'll be able to make it, to make the decision.
So then, based on what you're saying, it sounds to me like there's categories of the same problem. So alcohol or alcoholism can be a person who gets silly, sloppy, stupid, drunk night after night after night, or it could be somebody who doesn't get that bad, but if your life's results are constantly generating negativity, then I guess I'm going to call that alcoholism too.
Okay.
See, because that's where I kind of struggle with the differences.
I understand what you're saying. Okay, first of all, I want to say this. There's absolutely nothing wrong with having a couple of beers if it doesn't become a habit and destroy your life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that can drink a couple of brews, go out with the friends, have a brew, hang out, barbecue, have a brew, go home, and that's it. But for those of us that can't do that, that's an alcohol problem. That's alcoholism. Period.
Yeah.
Period. There ain't no excuse for it. You know, we try. Believe me, I was the master at making up excuses. And there aren't enough numbers in the world that how many times I told my wife I was going to quit. All in the name of getting her back. All in the name of getting her back, right? And then she comes back, and then that type of thing. I mean, I guess that's why she came back, because I made her promises. But I broke every one of those promises, and so her trust and all that goes down the drain. You know what that's about.
Yeah.
When you start to lose these things, that's why I'm saying everything that we do affects the ones that we love. Even when we're sober. Right?
Yeah.
But alcohol has a way of tricking you into thinking that everything's going to be all right when it's not.
Yeah, because I'm have talked, maybe talking to somebody who justifies it.
Mm-hmm.
When this person's around me, it's like trying to hide it, but it's stupid, silly, falling down, and the excuse is, well, hey, I did what I was needing to do during the week, so now I'm going to cut loose. And I think I understand that to where, because if I were to say that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to have 4, 5, 6 beers and I'm going to relax and I'm going to have fun. But I'm going to be able to walk. Mm-hmm. I'm going to be making responsible decisions. Mm-hmm. And that's the difference between me and X person over here. You know, that accountability and responsibility is out the door.
Right. Well, I think one of the reasons that people for example, I'm just going to let loose. That's a way of justifying the fact that you're going to get drunk.
Yeah.
Because addicted people do that.
Yeah.
They justify the hell out of everything.
Yeah.
Trust me, I know because I did it. Oh man, there were many conversations my mom would have with me, honey. What's going on with you and Angie? Why is it, oh, Mom, it's her fault, bum, 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 bum. And I got my mom, I'm sitting here lying to my mom's face. Because I don't want her to think bad of me. It's easier to demonize the other person so that I can continue doing my crap.
Got it.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
People do that. They make up the excuses to justify everything. Look if you got an alcohol problem, if you need to drink where you're smashed every weekend, consider taking a look at that.
And if your only time of getting smashed is with me, then I look at it as you chose alcohol, not me. And I'm not okay with that.
Again, it's affecting the person that they say that they love, that they say that they are friends with, that they say they're having a relationship, but they say that,
Yeah.
And we do that. I love Lima. I love Lima to death.
Me too.
But he would say to me, I want my kids, but the way he was acting, it never showed that. He would say it,
but the alcohol was too powerful.
Yeah, but the alcohol just it ate him alive. He could not give it up. And it took him away from his own kids. And I believe what you're talking about when you say that, alcohol took him, because the night that he got hit, he was smashed. And this might be some stuff that people don't know about, but I don't know. I just think that he was so inebriated when he stepped off the curb that he didn't even see that car. I think he walked in front of that car. And what happened there affected all of our lives. Now,
a lot of lives, yeah.
I don't want to break him down or anything like that, because we went our way to honor him as our brother, as our bandmate.
Oh yeah.
And because even though that happened, all the stuff that happened in his life, we still loved him.
That does not shadow what all good he did.
No. But the thing is that when that happened, we had to go into all kinds of different modes. And I decided that I was going to go into work mode, but I'm going to tell you something. His death hit me harder than I expected. And to this day, I come to tears over it. But again, that's an example of how it affects us, and that's what happens with people. And they use that.
And we know that anybody watching right now has hands-on experience with this, because it's so commonly spread that if it isn't yourself, it's somebody you know dearly, because I see it everywhere, and it just drives me insane, because my life would be so different right now if people around me didn't struggle with alcohol, or in my son's case, you know, this guy was so drunk. He was 4 times the legal limit. The cops were called on him 2 times before he hit my son. He was so drunk that 911 was called on him twice. From the time he stopped for gas and the attendant wouldn't sell him anything because he was stupid drunk, he called 911 because he was getting back in his car and saw that he was driving. Another driver who saw the way he was driving called 911. So, you know, it's really hard to understand this from that heavily intoxicated a perspective of being that intoxicated. You know, it's I don't understand it, and it's hard for me to really wrap my brain around it.
Well, this is a great example because your son, my daughter and your son probably would have been together.
I remember at the show, you and I watching them, and your words to me were, "You're paying for the wedding."
That's right.
You know, it was. I think we really looked at it like, hey, we got the potential of it. D'Angelo and Toflaus marrying into each other's
That's
family.
right.
And the dreams that alcohol took away from me are crushing. So, yeah, I mean, we'd love to hear how this affects you. Can you tell me that it affects you in any way positively?
Well, as you can see, we're just having a conversation about it. I don't ever want to poo-poo on anybody. You know, you have to make your own decisions. But the ones that, what's happened to us as a result of alcohol, the loss of life, of siblings, of kids, the loss of relationships, these kinds of things, it's all too common.
It's life's biggest tragedies in my life.
It's like, it's a commonplace thing that people, you hear about it all the time. Man, that alcohol just destroyed their marriage, or man, that dude was smashed when he ran into that car. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, the stories are endless.
I mean, it's endless, right? But when we come back on our next segment, we'll try to give some advice maybe, or some observations that will help.
Yeah. We'll try and make this next part, I guess, where we do a little more interaction. You know, we love hearing from you guys. It drives us, so, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
All right.
And welcome back. So, in our last segment here on this topic, what I think I'd like to hear is, I'm going to throw this out as I dare you. I dare you. I really want you to come back with some stories. And they could be anonymous, they could be yours, they could be whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think
You can replace the names with other names.
Yeah. I think you giving us some of these stories for everybody to read and hear and understand will potentially help somebody else, and I think it can have a really big impact on this whole entire show, the message we're trying to get across. So
Yeah, with this particular one, we want to encourage people
yeah,
to help lift one another up, because look, and I know that some of the stuff that we were talking about is or I'll just say that I seemed a little harsh, but it's because
it's a harsh subject.
Yeah, it's a harsh subject, but it's because I know that there is another way. And when I see the people making the mistakes that I made and making the excuses that I've made and done all the things that I've done, I can identify with them and I can let them know, like I said, you're not talking to somebody here, or I'm not somebody that's talking to you that doesn't know what he's talking about. Man, my life was ravished by alcohol. But there's another way. And so everybody needs to help everybody, pray for everybody. You know, a lot of people, you know, when I do my lives I do them about every other day. So it's, you know, I'm not every day bombarding, but I always say, man, we just got to lift each other up and pray for each other. We got to, you know, hold each other up.
Yeah.
I want to say this. In the same way when Joe lost his son, we lost Lima and Jeremy and Mom and Dad. We were there for each other to lift each other up. Okay? In that same way, be there to help somebody who's addicted. You know what it's going to take. You know what you need to do, because we always do. And you know the things that that take place, and I want you to have the courage to have to do them. Sometimes you got to show the tough love. Sometimes you got to, you know, call the cops sometimes. Sometimes you got to do those things because there's no other way except to do it right. You know what I'm saying? You can't just ignore it and expect it to go away, because it's going to get worse and it's going to get worse and it's going to get worse. If you need to go put the kid in the program, or your husband or your wife or your uncle, your auntie, or you need to talk, have that hard talk, have it.
Tell me something. Would you say that there's a difference in loss when you know it's alcohol related from somebody who you didn't lose by alcohol? It seems to me that it might be a little different, because in my mind, and granted, I have a disease, polymyositis. I have no control over that. So people tell me, in being compassionate for somebody who has alcoholism, that I should have the same compassion because they don't have control of it either. But to me, it seems that it's a harder acceptance of death when it's alcohol related from natural causes. It's like I kind of feel like, no, you had the ability to stop it. This person didn't.
Mm-hmm. See, and that's the key, because what happens is it becomes out of control and you don't even know it.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You don't even realize it, and the next thing you know, you're like, how the hell did I get here? It's because it's a lie. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And look before you take your first drink, you know exactly what you're doing. You know exactly what you're doing. When people shoot that first needle, after that, that's it, man.
Yeah.
But before that happens, you know what you're doing. Our parents always tell us, don't hang around with snakes or you'll become a snake. Don't lie down with snakes or you become a snake. If you're hanging out in areas where someone's doing drugs, let your upbringing inform you. But we don't do it because we're afraid not to be accepted, which is crazy in this life. And after you become addicted, you're afraid that no one will accept you.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But everybody knows we have it right there. But when we choose to do it, after that, I would say to a certain extent, we can still say no, but up to a point where it comes out of control. Like I always tell you, I've been sober for so long. If I drank, I could probably control it for a little while, but before I know it, it would be full blown and out of control again. And I know better, and everyone else knows better. So what I'm trying to say to you is this: It's not a sickness starting out,
But it'll end up there.
but it ends up becoming that.
Makes sense.
When you first start out, it's not that way, because you feel like you're on this honeymoon. Oh wow, man, go out, have a White Russian with my girl, you know. But how many stories have you heard? Girl gets pregnant, guy leaves her. She either gets an abortion or she raises the kid by herself, and you see a lot of these stories. But that's just one aspect of it. There's all kinds of other things. You get in the car, you drive, you drink the first time you drive, boom, someone gets killed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What? You're sitting there playing with your firearm at home or whatever, you know, you heard it. The guy's drunk, he's sitting walking around with a firearm, and next thing you know, it's stupidity. But before that happens, you have the choice to say no. Everyone has the choice, but will you make it? That's the question.
You know, I do a lot of the rings for people with tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say the thing that I hear commonly across the board of what works best in recovery is the meetings. So I think that goes back to what you were saying as far as getting together with people, lifting, just the networking, I think the meetings mean that, you know, to stay on top of it like you would going to church, you know, going to work out. To get those results that you're looking for, you need to be present.
You find strength
Yeah.
in others and from others,
Yeah. Yeah.
you see. That's, you know, what I notice, like, I've had the privilege of serving your family in the last couple of losses. And what I've realized is that when I walk into the room, everyone's looking to me for help, like, or your mom always, she told me that Father John was going to run the service, but she ends up giving it to me, and I end up running it. I say that only because I guess that's a part that I play in your family.
Yeah.
Others,
I think that's a part you play a lot for a lot of people right now.
well,
including my family.
I'm blessed to be able to serve, because it's a privilege to serve people. And that's why I get so upset when I talk about these kinds of things and get animated and passionate about it, because I know that there's another way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that just to say that that's what they look to me for. Strength, advice,
Wisdom.
wisdom. And we can find that within all the others, like, you know, people that have been sober for so long, they can impart wisdom and, you know, and advice.
Yeah.
And be there for somebody. That's why they have sponsors. You know, I understand that, and thanks be to God that I didn't have to go through AA. He literally grabbed me, you know, in a headlock, and taught me to where he was. Now I'm just standing next to him. Is the way I can explain it. Listening for his direction. You know, we can help a lot of people that way. You know, if you're struggling with addictions, if you're struggling with alcohol or drugs or pornography or any other of those things, food or any of that stuff, there's a reason why that's happening. And where there's a hole in our life that we try to fill it with everything. And the excitement, like I was talking about, partying and having the party life and hanging out and all that. There's this hole that we're trying to fill with this stuff.
The adrenaline it brings.
And that hole is missing. Jesus is missing from that hole. I preach that. I believe it 100%.
Yeah, I do too.
Well, I don't want to poo-poo on anybody. Look, if you're able to go have some beers, enjoy your family, you know, teetotal as they say, or, you know, once in a while have a couple of drinks or something like that, and have a, you know, and enjoy your family, and it's not out of control for you, I don't want to tell you that that's wrong, because I don't think that that's wrong. Even the Bible says to have a glass of wine.
Right.
You know, the Bible says drink, but don't get drunk. And the word translated there, drunk or drunkard, it has the connotation of a lifestyle of drunkenness.
Right.
Okay. So if you have a lifestyle of drunkenness, you got a problem. Period. If you have to get drunk every time that you drink, you got a problem, and you need to address it. You know. And if you got it smashed every time, you got to address it. And that's not good.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. If you repeat that, if you have to get drunk to drink, then yeah.
Yeah. If you have to, if you get drunk every time that you drink, I'll put it that way. I think it's.
Yeah, that's.
If you got to get drunk if you got to get drunk every time that you drink, you got a problem.
That's where you take the highlighter out and highlight that. Yeah, that's it right there.
Because you're not living to enjoy. I mean, there's a lot of people I know. I know some people that I see them all the time on Facebook, and they're out and about and they're doing their thing, and I know them as they like to have a good time, and when they go out, they have a good time. But I've never been around them once, ever, where they got into fights, or had to call the cops on you, or give me the keys, I want to drive. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, and I don't want to poo-poo that. You know?
Yeah.
People that are responsible, and believe me, it's possible to be responsible and have a drink. It is. But if you got to get smashed every time that you drink, you've got a problem, and you should address it. And drugs, I'm not going to say you should there's no such thing as teetotaling drugs. You're doing drugs, you got a problem. Period.
That's where accountability comes in, man. That's a big lesson in life is understanding and maintaining accountability. So I know with me, accountability's humbled me in so many ways, but I don't know, perhaps that's applicable here to alcoholism.
Well, again, we talked about addictions, right? And we specifically were talking about alcohol and drugs, but there are other addictions and things that people are out of control, and they need to address them. And I think that's just the principle of it all.
Yeah.
It's the main principle of it all. Again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in and watching these things and commenting. We want to thank our sponsors that have come along with us, and as we're getting this show off the ground. And very soon we'll be going live, and we'll be putting out what do you call that? Like a
like a
what do you call that?
Like a little trailer or a little
updates. We'll be updating and when we're going to be going live, so that maybe you guys can join us.
What he said.
And yeah. And we're looking forward to doing that. I promise you that not all of our shows are going to be about tough topics.
Yeah.
If you guys saw our last show, you would you'll probably be tripping out. But and if you haven't, I'm not going to blow it for you. But you know, the bottom line is we're very thankful for the opportunity that we have to share experiences and life and all of that.
And we do look for topics too that will help unite us and make a difference in others' lives. You know, so while these topics might be hard at times, you know, we feel that they're going to, you know, they're going to be of value to others.
Absolutely. I don't think I could have said that any better. One last thing. I just want to say I love you, bro.
I love you too, man.
And we've been through a lot together in these last 30. Oh my God, did I just say that? 30 plus years that we've known each other. But I've never known you to abuse anything or have any type of addictions or anything like that. But you had to put up with a lot, including from us. And we were in the group together, you know. We did a lot of drinking, you know. But yeah, I just want to say I love you, bro.
I love you.
And
Man.
this is an honor and pleasure to do this with you, you know.
Pleasure's all mine.
And with that, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Joe.
And this is Truth Be Told.
See you next time.